I am Ray, and until you realize that it's your energy that is the problem, you won't understand why you're sabotaging your life, why your dreams seem so far away. Too much coffee. We're going to review, sorry, I have a text message. A perfect example of this, the discussion between Mr. America and Mr. Ukraine. We're just going to go through a few clips to show you what I mean.
Russia's not going to want to go back, and nobody's going to want to go back. When this deal ends, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. President, thank you. You had Macron and Keir Starmer at the White House this past week, both of whom.
And there shouldn't have been October 7th. That would have never happened. As you know, Iran was broke. They were stone cold broke.
It's not under these circumstances, do you envision a trilateral summit with Putin and President Zelensky?
If we can't solve it, they're going to have to fight it out, and who knows what's going to happen. But I want to see it get solved.
May I follow up?
But we have put in far more than they have, and I think they should equalize.
Mr. President,
He broken this ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media.
Everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You
God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you can...
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
I know.
You're not winning this. You got to be more thankful. Because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards. It's going to be a tough deal to make. Because the attitudes have to change. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh?
But you can see visibly Zelensky is uncomfortable. He's a bit anxious. He's a bit annoyed. And, well, his country is under attack. So he has every reason to be these things. But it doesn't matter. You could tell the whole time Trump was at ease. He was relaxed. No worries. Zelensky was uncomfortable. He got continuously more frustrated. A tad bit frustrated. A tad bit frustrated. You could see how the interviewers would just ignore him almost. He would want to say something, but then he would get stifled. You can tell Zelensky felt no control. Trump was in control. His body language was at ease. He was relaxed. He was not worried. For good reason. His country's not getting attacked. But it doesn't matter. Because in this reality, 1 + 1 = 2. What does this mean? It means when you have certain inputs, that's going to create a certain output. Doesn't matter if you're a good person or an evil person. Math is the same. Where's little buddy? No, he's lost. No, I found him. He was just partying with strippers again. What are you going to do? Zelensky was very serious. For good reason. But here's the rub. Your state of being influences the way you behave. And the way you behave influences what you have. Clever, I know. And so what happens is that if you're uncomfortable, if you're in a kind of negative state of being, you're frustrated, you're annoyed, you're irritated, all for good reason. The only problem is it causes you to behave in a way that makes people react to you negatively. The reporters were ignoring him. They didn't respect him simply because he was in a negative state of being. He could not control his state. Not the state of Ukraine, but his emotional state. And as the conversation went on, it only got worse, which caused the ultimate result of the conversation to be negative. And what happened today? It's March the 4th. Trump has paused military aid to Ukraine. Now, we could say that this was all planned, or that Trump was just going to do whatever he was going to do anyway. But this is the way we sabotage our lives all the time. And this is why, for instance, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Because he may have wanted to do the right thing. And because he wanted to do the right thing, he took that conversation very seriously. But because he took it so seriously, it made him uncomfortable and frustrated that the conversation was not going the way he wanted it to go. And guess what? Trump had the vibes that he didn't care because he was in control. He was in charge. He was relaxed and at ease. So things went his way. And that's how life works. Think about in social situations. If you're really trying hard to force things to be a certain way, you behave in this really cringy energy. And people feel that. And nobody wants to be around it. But if you're relaxed, you don't care, you take my advice, you just be, then the behavior takes care of itself. You don't have to try to do anything. Your state of being is what does. But guess what? Most people fall to the slave side of the equation. They try to force reality to be the way they want it to. And it doesn't work. It makes the consequences unfavorable. When all one has to do is manage their state of being. And this is good news. I'm telling you, feel good all the time. Try at least. And I don't mean feel good like just indulge in impulsive pleasures. You know that doesn't feel good overall. I'm saying do what you love. Have more fun. Stop taking life so seriously. And guess what? You become a master at life when you can be in this kind of tense situation and be relaxed and be at ease. Because it doesn't matter what good intentions you have. 1 + 1 always equals 2. 1 + 1 equals 2. I don't know if that's accurate. You get the idea. The point is, we feel like we have to do things. And we don't realize that life kind of just unfolds by itself. But here is your point of attraction. And you can experience this easily and clearly for yourself. When you're in a negative state of being, how easy is it to do more negative things? Or if you fall to an addiction, how easy is it to fall to more addictions? That is how we spiral out of control. We find ourselves in a negative state. Then we engage in negativity. So we have more negativity. So we feel more negative. And we do more negativity. Tripping bird, huh? When you can stop this whole hellish cycle by not worrying about what you have and not worrying about what you do, manage your emotional state. That is the secret to life, my friend. Here is what that looks like. You like my son? I am son. It really comes down to your thoughts, your conscious thoughts. As Eckhart Tolle once said, the primary cause of our unhappiness is not what happens to us. It is our thoughts about what happens to us. So how do you react to your experiences? You have the choice to react any which way you want. The universe is perfectly balanced between negativity and positivity. And all it is a habit. We habitually focus on what is negative or what is positive. And that basically determines the quality of your life. And at the core of it all it is attitude. Are you a more positive person or a more negative person? I just had this thought yesterday where somebody who I happen to be around sometimes, they're always talking about how the world is going down the toilet. Bad things are coming. Don't listen to people, for God's sake. Because a negative person will always see negativity. It doesn't matter if the economy is good and everything is going their way. They'll find something negative to focus on. They could have 99 things going their way and still focus on the one thing going wrong. Because their attitude is messed up. And because they have a negative attitude toward life, they feel negative all the time. Because when you focus on negativity, of course you're going to feel negative. Am I speaking rocket science? But most people disguise pessimism as being a realist. I'm a realist. I am just looking at the facts. This is the way reality is going. Don't you see? Toilet. There's poop in there. But first of all, we ignore like 99% of all reality. So what does anyone know about what is real? Even the light spectrum. We see like a tiny sliver of it. What do we know what is real? And the more I've gone on this journey, the more I'm even questioning the nature of reality itself. What do I mean? Is that the laws of the universe, they might be more like a speed limit sign. Just a suggestion. Because there are even cases of people defying the laws of gravity. Mystics being able to levitate. People like Jesus being able to perform miracles that defy the laws of nature. And because reality can never be separated from our minds, we don't know what is true or what we're just believing into existence. Life is being filtered through us, so whatever information we have in our minds and in our bodies, life is being filtered through that and projected out onto the world. Which is why they say we don't see reality as it is, we see reality as we are. That's why when you judge the world, it's a confession of character. Because negative people judge the world negatively. And positive people always judge the world positively. And negative people live terrible lives. And positive people live wonderful lives. It's not that complicated. But if you're a realist, well, biologically speaking, we are programmed to focus on negativity over positivity. Evolutionarily speaking, those who lived in more anxiety, more fear, who focused on the danger, they are the ones who survived. Because, well, in the jungle, being an optimist probably would get you killed. Now the thing is, we don't have to just ignore the negative side of life and only try to focus on positivity. But the key is, to what degree does negativity affect you? Because most people suffer because they have phlegm. I don't think coffee was the solution. Most people suffer because they can't handle negative energy. They either fight it, they either resist it, they either run away from it. And because that energy is the force of destruction, it creates destruction. But when you learn to transmute negativity into positivity, it doesn't matter what happens anymore. Because you can use any negative situation for your highest spiritual growth. Or even just as a learning experience. You make a mistake. Was it a mistake if you learned something new from it? No, it wasn't a mistake. And that's the difference between people's attitudes. Those who are successful and those who fail. You did not do something wrong. You are simply one step closer to learning how to do something right. And you see, we live in a mad world. And in a mad world, the realists are the ones who lose. And the delusional ones are the ones who win. Because a realist lives from their senses, of the evidence of what they see. And those who are delusional live from the unseen. They live from their imagination. And the realists like to feel superior over the delusional. Now there's a degree of balance here. Some people are delusional to their own detriment. But once you recognize your power, being delusional is a superpower. It's your greatest asset. Why is this? You will see. But I have to take a potty break.
If you can't give us some financial support, okay, please, give us a credit and we will give you back money.
Now I want to make something very clear. We are entering into a new age of human evolution. It's funny. I hear a lot of people talk about how the world is going down the toilet. And yet, all I see is a grand new age full of possibility. A new world free from so much suffering. A more loving and harmonious world. And it will be glorious. All I'm saying is, don't get stuck focusing on the death of the old world, but join us. Sorry, I'm feeling a feeling a bit cultish today? Sell all your things. Join me. We have cool drawings. Endless supplies of coffee. See, energy is the force of creation. And we are divine creators. Our mind is a tool that directs the flow of energy, and that is how we create. The mind can go in 360 degrees. So you can focus outward, or you can focus in. And you can focus in a way that's negative, neutral, or positive. It's about all the options. And how well you manage your mind determines how much of a creator you are. Are you a conscious creator, or are you unconscious? Do you realize all the ways you're creating your reality? The first thing you want to do is just become aware. For God's sake, please be aware of the ways you focus on negativity. Because once you become aware of all the ways you ruminate on negativity, all your negative beliefs, all the negative thoughts, you just begin looking at them, paying attention to them, and you will see, oh wait a minute, all of these thoughts are creating a negative reality for me. Because that is where your energy is going. So imagine you're living in a hell realm. Maybe you are. I don't know. Rate yourself on 1 to 10 for me, please. 1 is hell. 10 is heaven. Hell is you're suffering miserably every single day. You're at your wit's end. Life just doesn't seem very much worth it. 5, you're somewhere in the middle. Not really that good. Not really that bad. 10, So here's the thing. The more we've been unconsciously feeding negativity, the bigger the fire gets, the hotter it is. Hell, the more it burns, the more suffering. So the first step, you gotta stop throwing gasoline on the fire. You gotta stop making it hotter, man or woman, or both. And you can't stop doing it until you realize that you're doing it. So we become aware of the ways we're ruminating on negativity. Because when we ruminate on negativity, it affects our state of being. Thoughts influence emotions, and emotions influence our state of being. So thinking about something negative is going to make you feel negative. Reacting to a situation negatively is going to make you feel negatively. So the first thing we want to do is become aware of all the ways we're doing this. And because you don't want to suffer anymore, I'm guessing, you want to go to heaven, right? Right? You'll naturally, over time, kind of say, well, I don't want to burn anymore. I'm tired of this. And you'll stop throwing gasoline on the fire. In time. And the fire will naturally start to go out. So you will begin to rise up and up and up. Before you know it, you're lukewarm. And that's a lot of relief. But then what we want to do is we start putting the fire out with water. The water of God, you could say. Thirsty? I know I am. Which leads us to today's sponsor. Darkness. Chaos reigns. But not for long. How do we gather this water? Well, once you decide to start living a better life, you can begin thinking better feeling thoughts. So whenever you automatically just kind of habitually focus on negativity, ruminate, that awareness gives you a bit of space to stop that momentum. And then with that space, you have the power to change the focus of your direction. It's the, what is it called? The dyslexia speaking. And see, the thing is, all that has to change is your attitude. Why? Because there's negativity and positivity in everything. If you fall down off your horse, you can either wallow in suffering about how bad it hurts, or you can get back on and continue moving forward. You can learn the lesson. And so the moment you begin looking for the lesson, the moment you begin directing your attention towards improving yourself, improving your life, you naturally and automatically begin transmuting negativity into positivity. You don't see problems anymore. You see opportunities. There are no longer any mistakes, only opportunities to learn. And if you throw God into the mix, why don't you? Well, God is the ultimate good thing. So when you direct your attention toward God, well, you strive toward heaven. Because God and heaven are one. You could say, if you don't know, the word sin means to miss the mark. And our mind is a pointed tool. So to sin means to direct our energy in a way that causes us to lose it. And all sin leads to hell. And to direct our minds in a positive way is virtue. Why is this? Because energy is the force of life. And where life is not, death is. Which is why all sin leads to death. Hell is eternal death. And heaven is eternal life. And so when you direct your attention in positive ways, you gain more energy and you rise to higher and higher states of being. That is what the religious people have been talking about. Simple enough. You see, one of the highest spiritual truths is that everything is energy. Even scientifically speaking. In the universe there is floating around dust and particles and things. And sometime long ago, millions of years, a star exploded itself all over and spread out its guts. And those guts were the elements of the periodic table. Stars are the creative force of the universe. They are what give life. And stars are big balls of energy. And in that explosion, the heat from the supernova sparks the latent dust and particles, like popcorn, starts a chain reaction. And in an instant, a new star is born. Our sun. Wow, I didn't think we'd have a family so soon. And all the heavier elements formed the rocky planets. And then the rest of the hydrogen and helium formed the gas giants. And all the leftover stuff formed the asteroids and the rocks. But you see, we perceive reality as, oh, there are planets, there are rocks and asteroids and stuff like that. No, there is only the same one energy, temporarily manifesting in unique forms. You and everyone on the planet and everything on the planet is energy. And just a little side note, separation is illusion. Does not exist. We perceive ourselves to be a separate individual human being. No, your true nature is energy. And what is energy? Energy is vibration and the frequency of that vibration. The higher the frequency, the higher state of being. And intuitively, we understand what this means. When somebody has low vibes, you don't want to be around them. And when somebody has high vibes, you want to be around them. It's attractive energy. And depending on your frequency, that will determine the way you experience reality. And so everything is energy, which means your thoughts contribute to your frequency. Your emotions, energy in motion. And in thoughts, we can add in there beliefs, identities, stories. And so the quality of our thoughts will influence the quality of our emotions into actions here as well. Quality of our actions will determine the quality of our thoughts and emotions. And all of these things together create a vibe. And so when you look at heaven from the state of energy, heaven is the highest vibration, the highest frequency, and hell is the lowest. And when you gain more energy, you rise in vibration. And when you lose energy, you lower in vibration. So all we have to do is begin paying attention to our state of being and managing it. Now, right now, there is a sea of infinite potential, an infinite array of different realities, all with different versions of you, living different lives. And you can call these different lives timelines. Think of it like a radio station. The frequency of that radio station will determine the songs that you hear. And on Hell Radio, all the songs are the songs you hate the most. And on Heaven Radio, all the songs are the songs you love the most. The songs are the experiences. And what radio station we are tuned into is determined by our overall frequency. You could call it the aura, which is accumulation of our thoughts and our emotions and our actions. And more, but this is just the basics. And so if right now you're tuned into Hell Radio, suffering all the time, instead of being a slave and focusing on doing things and having things, instead of focusing on having a better life, just focus on feeling better. Because who you are influences the way you act. So you don't need to worry about that. The low, negative vibe version of you always engages in negative things and so therefore has a negative life. But if you want to tune in to this version of you, well, you have to change. And what I mean when I say don't focus on what you do, I really mean don't focus on doing things to have. Focus on doing things to be or to become. And what you will see is that as you start raising your frequency, when you start vibing high, you start shifting to these higher timelines. And reality kind of just works itself out. If you have a problem down here, once you shift up here, the problem will go away because you're living on a different timeline where that problem never existed. But what do? We try to fix the problem while still being stuck on the same timeline. And that is how people stay stuck forever. When in reality, you focus on your state of being, the problems fix themselves because you are no longer energetically aligned with those problems. Now, because we live on the physical plane, the greatest impact of our overall vibration happens at a physical level. No matter what problem you're experiencing in life, if you simply just focused on your body, you would eliminate most of your problems. What do I mean? Is that when you find yourself in a negative state, whether you're ruminating on negative thoughts, whether you're thinking about negative things, or reacting negatively to whatever experiences you are having, go and exercise, because that will immediately shift you into a higher state of being. But if you stay in a negative state, your entire reality is being filtered through negativity. And so you're staying stuck in these lower states of vibration, these lower timelines. You cannot be in a physically demanding state, doing difficult exercises, and remain in a negative state of being. And this could be as simple as going for a walk and getting some fresh air, or doing 100 burpees, or going to the gym, or going for a run. Focus on the body, breath work, breathing exercises. Again, if you do some breath work for 10 to 15 minutes, you will not remain in a negative state of being. Do your research. And one tip, oftentimes when we're in a negative state, we get anxious, we get uptight. And so through breath work, we can calm and relax the body, calming and relaxing the mind. And the way we do that is we take shorter inhales and longer exhales. So if you're having anxiety, breathe like this. But let's say you're in depression. There's too much chaos energy. You want to aliven yourself a bit, because in the depression state, you're lethargic. You feel like death. So you would want to breathe like this. And you'll feel after a few breaths, you'll start to get a little bit lightheaded. Do it in a safe place. But you'll feel the life pulsing throughout your body. And this will help get you out of the rut. It's not necessarily a cure-all, but it comes pretty close. I mean, if you exercise and you do breath work, negativity has no chance. And this is just the beginning. Take care of your body. Hydrate, meaning electrolytes. Here's an example. I need to start getting some affiliate links. Celtic sea salt. Wow. Artesian. Take a little bit of this. See? Salt. You see? Salt. I guess you can't see it. Do this. Water. Ah. Delicious. Hydrated. Nourished. I'm ready to start the day. Gotta counteract the coffee somehow. Every morning, you gotta get sunlight. You just have to. We are biological creatures. Sunlight will affect your sleep. Sleep is the most important thing. If you don't get high quality sleep, you're not gonna have a high vibe life, my friend. Food. If you're eating negative food, you're not gonna be high vibe. What do I recommend? If you're gonna eat meat, stay away from low quality meat. Same thing with eggs. Any animal product. Stay away from low quality cheap food. Fruits are high vibe foods. Vegetables, good. I like foods with color because colors seem nice. Colorful foods, eat them. And the way you know whether or not something is good for you is whether or not it makes you feel better or worse after eating it. If you feel sick after eating a certain kind of food, the reason you feel sick is because it's lowered your frequency. Everything is energy. Food is energy. So if you're right here and you eat a food with a lower frequency, the food will pull you down in frequency a little bit more toward hell, which is why you experience suffering after you eat it. You have shifted lower. And so therefore you feel worse after eating it. Now here's the thing. If you're on the same vibe as Taco Bell, you can eat Taco Bell all day and it's not going to lower your frequency because you're on the same vibe. But if you've been eating clean for 10 years and you eat Taco Bell, you're going to feel it strong. And so what happens is that as you begin eating healthier and healthier, lower frequency foods become intolerable to you because you feel so bad after eating them. It's like, why would I do this to myself? And you see, a healthy food for a low vibe person might be an unhealthy food for a high vibe person because of the difference in frequency. You see, if this person eats that food, they go up. If this person eats that food, they go down. You are what you eat. The person on the bottom will feel better after eating that food. The person at the top will feel worse because of the difference in frequency. Did I mention getting some fresh air? Air is energy. If you're cooped up in the house all day, breathing in your own musk, Elon Musk, you're breathing Elon's musk, you're going to have a bad time. All of these 1% improvements will change your life. I would say it's more than 1%. If you just started paying attention to these things, your life would change. And what this requires is that you got to take your attention away from doing things in the world and start paying attention to doing things for yourself. Feel better more often. And guess what? When you exercise, you don't need to go crazy. You don't need to force yourself to do it. Because if you're forcing yourself to do exercise, it's like dragging along a slave. And guess what? That's focusing your attention on negativity. So what was supposed to help you is actually making your life worse. Because now you feel, oh, there's this great burden. I have to do this every day. I'm forced to. But when you just kind of do what you like to do, you develop a positive relationship. And exercise becomes effortless. So don't get in the rut of thinking you just have to do certain things. Don't make yourself into a slave. Be free, my friend. Tiptoe. Baby steps. And guess what? As you start doing even the smallest things, you start raising your state of being. And the higher frequency version of you likes to do these things. But the lower frequency version of you does not. And once you start shifting, these things become more and more effortless. It's just your natural routine. Whereas, again, on the slave side of the equation, people say, I have to exercise to get healthy. I have to breathe to be alive. That's not the point, okay? You exercise to feel better. You breathe to feel better. You hydrate to feel better. And the better feeling version of you automatically does these things without effort. And again, we return to attitude. You can either have a negative attitude toward these things or have a positive attitude. You can either feel like you have to force yourself to do it, or you can kind of just ease yourself into it and enjoy it. Because these things are supposed to be enjoyed. Again, people say, I have to force myself to eat healthy food, and I hate it. I hate it. But I need to be healthy, I need to lose weight. And so they drag themselves along as a slave. When all you have to do is start feeling better, and the better feeling version of you naturally eats healthier. Because you wouldn't want to feel worse. Awareness. Let me get into the mind stuff. This was body, this is mind. Awareness of your tendency to ruminate on negativity and start thinking positive thoughts. Because positive thoughts will influence your emotions and will raise you to higher states of being. So every time something good happens to you in life, take a moment and appreciate it. Relish in the joy of life. Develop an attitude of gratitude. Your vibration will rise. One more step toward heaven, my friend. And every time something bad happens to you, reframe your attitude and say, well, God is trying to show me something. There is something to be learned in this situation. There is no growth without suffering. There is no progress without failure. And so don't think that failure, that problems, that suffering, these are not bad things. Because whether you think of them as bad or good, it will be true for you. There is a little something called the law of assumption, which basically means you'll believe things into existence based on what you assume to be true. Whether you can or whether you can't, both true. And the moment you begin habitually taking your mind away from negativity and pointing it toward positivity, naturally the problems in your life, the struggles, you will see their value. You will see that they were never negative, but that they were serving your highest spiritual growth. That God always gives you the exact things you need at the exact right time. And lastly, when you focus your attention on God, everything takes care of itself. God will naturally lead you to these things. So pray before bedtime. Ask for guidance. Ask for help. And you shall receive. I am Ray. Visit my cool store. Much peace and many blessings. And remember, just be.